Welcome to On Block Off Block by AeroCloud. On Block Off Block explores the exciting and ever-growing aviation industry with guests working in and with airports, and is hosted by AeroCloud CEO George Richardson.
In this episode, George speaks to Nkululeko Mhlaba, the CEO of Phungela, about his entrepreneurial journey and insights into the digital transformation landscape in South Africa and the power of partnerships between tailored solutions that consider local context within the region.
Welcome, Nkululeko. Thank you very much for joining us on Block Off Block. Before we dive into airports and tech, can you tell us a little bit about you, where you've come from, where you are now, and what the plan is for the future to building your business? And then we'll get into some of the airport stuff and our relationship stuff.
Okay, thank you for having me. My name is Nkululeko Mhlaba. I'm the CEO of Phungela. My journey has been quite interesting around entrepreneurship and business and leadership. I come from a very entrepreneurial family, grew up around solutioning and problem solving and being enterprising and looking for opportunities. And my journey around how Phungela started was looking at an opportunity around the market, around the digital transformation space, around the technology that was being adopted in South Africa. And then one saw an opportunity around seeing how to invest in systems. And there was a bit of struggle around performance and the challenges around tools and implementation and resourcing and being experienced around rolling out enterprise technology. And then that's where we saw a gap. Starting from a strategy background as a consultant, looking at strategy, working with various clients on how to develop strategy for them and then do the strategy implementation. And clients saying, can you also now help with the technical work into the transformation and help us in terms of solving business challenges? So that's been our journey as Phungela. Started in 2020 with a team of about 2 people and grew up until the level that we're in now.
Fantastic. Let's dive in a little bit of that because I think we met through Accenture, and I think you've done many successful projects for them. So did you have a background? Did you work in a large consultancy before deciding to start your own enterprise? And what's the story there?
No, as I said, my journey was quite interesting because I never worked with the global agent companies and consulting companies. It was through relationship and seeing the benefits of partnering with global companies that as we were working, we had common interest, how Phungela is structured, our ethos, and we're able to work together around common accounts and common sort of areas that we wanted to achieve within the local market for us in South Africa. And then ultimately, that relationship grew to an integral part around how we operate and how they operate and the synergies between us being a local player and them being a global player and partnering around that. And the relationship grew up until the stage that it's in now.
Fantastic. And you're saying that your upbringing is very solution-based and things like that. I think a lot of people can relate to that if they're trying to do something really special, right? So I know a little bit about your very family orientated like me. Rob recently visited you in South Africa and said you guys are absolutely on it. So fantastic for that. And I hope that all those lessons in your early life have helped you build the great business that you have now. So can we just dive in a little bit? Are you the technical guy and do you have the technical background, or are you more on the operations side in your role as the CEO? And can you give us a bit of background as to how you think about that?
For me, I think because I come from the strategic background, right? I'm more on the consulting side and solutioning and strategic partnerships, right? And sort of working with the partners around harnessing what we offer for our clients and the value add to that. So you find me doing activities like this where I'm engaging with our partner AeroCloud, I'm engaging with Accenture, with all our partners like IBM, consulting and other partners that we work with. So that's sort of looking at that. And then also charting the strategy around what the organization is going to be achieving and sort of architecting and building the organization to be able to be responsive to the market and also around where we want to be in 2 years, 5 years, and 10 years' time. So you find me sort of digging deep in, looking at how to structure the organization and then enabling the various business units within the company to be able to work together. I do have a sort of an operational background, but we do have a chief operations officer who looks at our operations. But overall, it's part of the looking out for the strategy and supporting the overall strategy in the organization and making sure that each and every player is empowered and understands the role that they're supposed to be playing around the organization.
Yeah, the CEO role I find pretty challenging, right? Because all the business's successes is never ours, and the successes are of others. So we can't really get a full feedback loop on the decisions and the successes that we're having, but also at the same time, we've got to deal with all of the big problems, right? So I often say to people that are assessing a CEO role or founding a company that it's particularly lonely, I find it at sometimes, and also very challenging. But kudos to you. You've done a great job.
And I also think I think there was one of our partners who having a strategy, right? And we had invited them to come and present at our strategic session. We normally have what we call a Phungela Day, where we call everyone in one room and cascade the strategy, like what we'll do around March this year in our new financial year, and say this is what we're going to be planning. For instance, this year we're saying CEO of Aviation due to the partnership that we've got with AeroCloud. So one of the CEOs that was presenting, who was a partner of Phungela, says after lunch and sort of seeing the culture and how we operate, then says that who are you guys? They asked the team, who are you guys? What do you guys do? And everyone kept on saying, tech, this is what we do, we consult. And he says, actually, you are a people company that does technology. Right. And it landed because we invest a lot in our people. And part of what I normally say to the team is that our people are our biggest assets. They're just not on our balance sheet. So the investment around who we bring in and how they align to the vision and how they're going to be driving the areas. So I'm sort of the people officer around making sure that people understand the strategy and also are empowered to execute the strategy as well. It does become lonely, but through the interactions and working with people, it sort of levels it out a bit.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, totally agree. And you're right. Our people are the company's biggest asset. And, our job also is to maintain that culture that you talked about there, because, without that, the companies just can't be special and proactive and objective and geared to win, right? On that topic, geared to win, we collectively came across a huge opportunity in South Africa, right? We got a plan in very, very quickly. We had some of our guys come out to your head office and we got face-to-face real quick. We did the detailed submission in record time, and this was a huge document. If you can see the screen now, listeners, this was like an encyclopedia of a document. In this realm or in this territory, we had to submit that document in paper form. So we also had to hand deliver that. It was a big ordeal, big deal, big job, and effectively, both parties are speculatively tendering for these big pieces of business. But I've been very impressed, really, with what we've done. So really, from your perspective, what makes your partnership successful? Because what you're providing us is on the ground, eyes and ears, technical experience. You're providing us project planning, great people to carry out the development and implementation and the service and support of our products on the ground. It's a highly complex task. And effectively, AeroCloud provide the technology, you providing the people. So what do you think makes the most successful partnership?
For instance, as you said, that immediately when we identified the opportunity and the team came down to South Africa, right, I think one of the key elements around the partnerships that do work is around execution and rather than focusing purely on strategy, but it's the execution part, getting to the table, sort of doing it. So that is the first basis of any partnership that actually does work. So kudos to the AeroCloud team when the opportunity came and it required sort of a move that is more sort of speedily. The team was very responsive on that, and the changes that needed to happen around as we're solutioning, as we're getting feedback from the client or the potential client that we were eyeing, sort of we were very responsive around that and being able to meet consistently around. So that agility is very important around the space that we're in aviation. The second part, I think, is that we don't have the luxury of learning through failures. And we must make sure that we build product that works, but we must be able to sort of build a platform. So one of the key elements is around the world-class modern sort of platform that AeroCloud has, the product itself, what we're selling to the client, to us sort of tick the box, because we know that we're selling something that is world-class. We're selling something to the client that we know has been operating in 80 airports, has been operating in environments that are sort of high pressured, as you know, aviation is. And the last part is around delivery, right, and support, and with the local capability and accountability. So that model, it does work to say this is a global product, but it needs context. It needs to be built for the client environment and to be customized for the client environment that we're looking at. And that together comes and sort of came with a very brilliant proposal for the client. So that's why there was an alignment there.
Yeah, well, we have our sights on obviously South Africa at the moment, but we are talking and setting our sights on sort of wider Africa, right? And I think that optimizing to get stuff done is a sentiment that we share as well. And that was highly attractive for us in our early discussion. When we talk about the sort of state of play within South Africa and across Africa for that matter, shaking up the legacy way of the way things are delivered, digital transformation means many things to different people, but could you just sort of set the tone as to where South Africa is in regards to digital transformation? And specifically then where South Africa is with regards to digital transformation in airports, because I think the two are very different. We've obviously seen, like, macroeconomically, South Africa is doing pretty well. And I think that, it's a massively growing economy, but there are still some complexities to delivery. So, connectivity is one of them, infrastructure is another. So what are you doing to sort of shake things up and deliver in a different way to make sure that you're most successful?
As we've said, this year for us is the year of aviation. There's going to be a big focus around supporting the aviation sector in South Africa, both from a strategy perspective and an infrastructure perspective, and sort of the line that cuts in between, which is the technology aspect as well. So we're looking at how to invest. There's a lot of investment that's going to be working in, and part of the investment that we're going to be doing is dedicating resources to the market, sort of attending market events and opportunities that we're going to be working on, and sort of speaking into the market around the various opportunities that are available and how do we contribute as a knowledge body partner to driving digital transformation within the South African aviation sector. So those are sort of the synergies that we're looking at, and not just coming in from a sell perspective, but coming in from a contribution in terms of the knowledge body of aviation. And the exciting part is that we are sort of at the impetus of what needs to happen, and we understand the roadmap that the aviation sector in South Africa needs to take. As you've said, there's a strong push around digital. The opportunities that we're looking, the digital transformation landscape is quite broad, not just only from airport operations, but infrastructure as well. So there's a big push around upgrading of infrastructure. And we think that with the partners and the knowledge that we have, we definitely are going to be able to contribute.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the biggest challenges I think that we are going to have in compared to established markets for what we do anyway, as in Aerocloud, and what we do within the EU and the US. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that is adopted, because we're going to be providing our customers in South Africa with something that they've never had access to before. And the efficiencies of that platform compared to the legacy platform are going to be significant. So that's in itself is going to drive a different way of doing things. So therefore it could free them up to do other things with their time and become more efficient in other areas. And one of the biggest things that I think they can benefit from is, that local expertise, having somebody on the ground and making sure that these projects are not just successful, but also efficient for the future. So let's just dive into that a little bit. It's like, why do you think that it's important to have people on the ground culturally for those organizations, and also from the efficiency standpoint for Aerocloud? Like partnership is there's a big stress on you do what you guys are good at, we'll do what we're good at. But why do you think that having those people on the ground is very important to both of us?
As we've said, one of the backgrounds that I've got is strategy. And part of implementing technology, there's a big change management aspect that is required around adoption, right? The TEM model speaks a lot about ease of usage. So the technology acceptance model speaks around ease of usage, and also speaks about supporting the client around implementation for a higher adoption rate. So we strongly believe that there's a need to sort of walk the journey with the client. That's why we say Phungela is your digital transformation partner. So we don't sell technology and then walk away. We walk the journey with you. And part of doing that is being in the client environment so that the client can get real-time support versus logging calls and tickets and then ultimately getting support. So we strongly believe that the people that we've got in the client environments are able to drive transformation and work with the clients around adoption. And then also there is a new environment, and the technology is always different in each and every environment. So you must be able to sort of look at the business case individually. So South Africa still has a big need for support and physical support. So you can't do remotely. And you're seeing a lot of change around the business process outsourcing, where people were being supported from external markets and now saying we want to also have on-site support and localized support as well. So there's a big move within the enterprise space in South Africa where clients are sort of saying it's not only about the cost saving, but it's about the adoption and also the usage as well.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing as well. I think it would be very ignorant of Aerocloud to think that we could do that by ourselves like we can in Europe and America. And I think this model and way of working is going to be revolutionary for our business as well as we expand into other territories. For example, I'm looking at the moment at APAC and Australia and these sorts of things, and having people locally that are culturally aligned with the client, I think, to be massively beneficial. So yeah, 100% agree. If we just fast forward on to sort of the future of South Africa and the future of aviation in South Africa, what do you think the biggest misconception about doing business in South Africa, and where have you helped international companies in the past?
I think the biggest misconception is thinking that Africa is one market, right? And that a global playbook automatically works here. And I think that is one of the biggest sort of learning curves that all global players come. And also South Africa is different to each and every one of the 54 countries that are in sort of Africa. So the success of each and every venture that is launched in South Africa or product that's launched in South Africa has to speak to localization, right? Having local partners who understands the market, who sort of have been involved in quite complex projects and who understand how to build for success. And also the execution capabilities, right? It does not necessarily mean that being able to execute, for instance, a project in London automatically sort of works in South Africa. And also the trust and relationship. It's always big in client environments that there must be that level of trust and relationship that sort of works, and also long-term support and presence, right? That's why we're seeing that digital first does not necessarily always work where you're only selling through digital channels. You also need to have support locally. And there's a bigger adoption for companies who adopt that stance to say, we want to have a global competitive product, but that's tied to implementation and support locally, and that is able to scale and deliver. And those are the success factors that are sort of contributing to South African projects or African projects in general.
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting though. When I look at it from the outside, you know, we're on a similar time zone. We obviously speak the same language, et cetera, across a lot of Africa anyway. Obviously, there are some nuances in those other countries, but I think it would be easy to think that we could do that job by ourselves. So one of the biggest things that's been appealing for me is that you already have these relationships set up. You already have the people that are working for you on other projects and have delivered other projects. You have that proof point, et cetera, et cetera. So going to the customer collectively saying, we have this product that can work globally from a software perspective, but implemented locally from your perspective is a big thing for us. And I'm very grateful that we've had that journey together. And I hope that this relationship is a start of a very, very long one. If we just span out a little bit wider to African aviation, and I know that we've got 54 different versions of that, right? But where do you see the market evolving in aviation in the next 5 years? Where do you think are the biggest opportunities? And as you are the CEO of your own business, why do you find the market appealing?
I think I find the market appealing because of opportunity, right? And there's a huge opportunity because of the old infrastructure that is there. Then what is happening is that sort of mature markets have run into implementation of new technology. And the only one that is still sort of at the back of that is Africa. So there's a big opportunity around the implementation and migration. And one of the first things that I think is an opportunity for us is the cloud-first airport systems, right, in the aviation. So now on-prem does not necessarily solve all the problems. environments. And we've seen a maturity around cloud security. So there's a lot of work that's going to be coming through around cloud adoption. And there's a big investment that's coming in around the data centers that are being built locally and to store that data locally. But there's a big cloud first opportunity. And the second part is around strong operational efficiency and automation. There's a big looking at current systems that are in there and the cost of being on-prem and how it limits through the connectivity issues, the operational efficiency, and the holding back of automation. There's a lot of automation that's going to be going through. And also around integrated planning and real-time decision-making. So people want to be able to get their data and information so that they can be able to make informed decisions quite quicker than what's at the business intelligence level. And then also your security and resilient environments. So everyone is beefing up their security around cybersecurity. And also passenger sort of experiences. So there's a lot of investment that needs to go into, in the digital age of social media. So when a client is unhappy, they're not going to write a complaint on a piece of paper and put it at the box in the airport where it's only going to be seen by the complaints manager. It's real time. So you must be able to have digital devices and information that's going to be listening in to social media. So whether it's your X, whether it's your YouTube, whether it is your Facebook, whether it's your Instagram, listening into your client conversations and trends around what people are complaining about certain airports. And that all of it is sort of premised on moving to the cloud and being digitally enabled. And those are the opportunities that we think and the shift that's going to be happening around performance-driven operations, every minute around resourcing and decision being optimized, and also like a model that proves success in one airport and scaling across different regions, which is what AirCloud has been doing around new clients' environments that are coming in, where you see a drop around tickets that are being sort of logged versus the high ticket volumes that were coming in because of the infrastructure that was sort of holding back in terms of providing superior customer service.
Yeah, it's an incredible growth journey just back into the South African market in isolation. Is in the last year, South Africa processed 41.8 million passengers. We're growing at near double-digit growth. We've obviously, post-COVID, we've had significant growth, and that's sort of leveled out a little bit now. But when you talk about that sort of scalability thing, and with regards to current airports having a lot of like legacy infrastructure and unique deployments at each one of their airports, AeroCloud's uniquely positioned to provide the same product to every single airport, which means that the efficiency of the people on the ground, the training of the airports, and the output is going to be significantly better because there's none of these bespoke deployments at each different one of those airports. And when I look down the breakdown, I'm looking a little bit here. When I look down of the breakdown is that you've got heavily weighted in OR Tambo in Johannesburg, sort of 20 million passenger movements in one. Then you jump down to Cape Town, 10.5 million passengers, and then into Durban, King Shaka at 5. So the breakdown is big and shelfy, right? But as we look at the growth across all of the airports, what we'll see that the airports start to become pretty stressed because the infrastructure, when we talk about engineering wise and architecturally wise, the airports don't have a lot left space to grow, right? So the option is better software, better service and support, more efficient deployments, or we build, more concrete and terminals. And as I see the sort of general macroeconomic landscape in South Africa increase, we are going to get more stress on those airports because more people have more money to travel, more businesses have more money to spend on business travel, and we also see investments in education, healthcare, et cetera, et cetera. One of those biggest things that I do this for is to see the local economy impact. It's quite amazing when I see that locally, and I'm very, very excited about the future. So as we sort of round up, then let's just go into a couple more questions. If you could wave a magic wand about something to fix, either in airport operations or across the region or in your own business with regards to aviation, what would it be?
I think it's around adoption, right? The speed in which the technology is rolled out and the clients are adopting it. So I think there's a big opportunity around moving swiftly and being agile, for the agility to be able to look at technology and not to be married to old solutions that have been sort of working. Yes, they've been the resilience around those applications, but they're limiting around how the business can use data, get information, increase customer service and visibility, and around better products that are out there in the market. So that's where I think there's a big opportunity.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic option for airports as well now, is that before they were tied into these sort of legacy contracts that prevented them from flexibility as well. Whereas now that they can pick a best-in-class model where they can find the best local service and support provider, the best software provider for their specific needs without it being bespoke, I think is a revolutionary thing to fix. So yeah, cracking answer. Brilliant. What's your favorite airport in South Africa?
Bit of competition there, but it's OR Tambo.
Okay, and that's your local airport, right? So
it's a local airport, yes.
For people listening, what would be the best thing to do locally around the airport if they were flying into the airport for business or anywhere great to eat?
The lounge.
Really?
The airport lounge.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's one of the best. Yeah, it is good. The food is nice, and it's got a working room, so you can just pop in, work, and connectivity quite nice. There's a view of planes that are taking off, so it's quite a number of options of lounges in the airport. So I think around the airport itself, that's one of the features that I enjoy a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And what advice would you give to global companies looking to enter the South African market?
I think it's around intelligence and how you sort of want to integrate yourself. So come in with a learning and open mind, and then sort of work with local partners. And it makes it much more easier to be able to integrate the market, because you know that the people that you're working with know the market. They sort of expedites the growth of the organization and the market that you want to go into. And you can sort of learn best practices and how to sort of leverage the relationships that are already there.
Fantastic. Cool. How can people connect with you, and what is the best means of connecting with you?
Very big on X. Quite a number of, that's a platform that I use a lot, tweet my thoughts, and LinkedIn as well. Quite a number of
What's
people
your X handle?
With monolithic. It's Nkululeko Mhlaba. So it's at my name and surname.
Okay, fantastic. Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for coming on Block Off Block. We've very much enjoyed having you. It's been a pleasure, and I'm very excited about the potential future of our relationship spanning South Africa and then the rest of Africa. I do plan on spending some time. Rob had a fantastic visit meeting you guys. I do plan on spending some time with you in person in a very short time period here. I just having some luxury of staying at home at the moment at the start of the year and not traveling as much. So when I do, I'm looking forward to sharing a nice glass of red wine and talking about the future of our companies together.
No, definitely. Are we not meeting in March at the event?
Yes, you're coming to PTE. Yes, that's going to be great.
Yes, definitely. So I'll bring you a bottle of wine there, and we can sort of kick it off there. South Africa is very nice, and thank you for sort of partnering with us. We're very excited. As we've said, we're looking at how even now we've got other engagements around that partnership, and how we can sort of roll out the technology that AeroCloud has throughout South Africa and other African markets.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I will see you in March in person, and then I'm geared up to come and see you guys. It's far more interesting and things to do than you coming to Manchester in the UK. Trust me, it's much better weather where you are as well, I think.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, looking forward to seeing you in March, and I will see you soon. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you, George.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to On Block, Off Block by AeroCloud. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review, and remember to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with future episodes. On Block, Off Block is hosted by George Richardson and produced by Alex Greaves.